Hello there and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. And me and Terry are here today to discuss Everton's latest game where we're going to be accused of injuring more players and disrupting other teams' sort of rhythm to the season as we go down to a ground that I don't think's been really kind to us over the years, but we won there last year, Southampton away on Sunday. Excited for the game. Obviously, Everton is top of the league, 13 points. As I'd like to really say to everyone, I'd really like to remind everyone how many points we've got after 5 games. It's cathartic, is it not? But obviously, I'm joined by Terry today to discuss the game. Terry, obviously, it's been a game over the years where we've kind of struggled. I think, especially down to their place. I think it's been that classic case of, apart from last season, we win at Goodison and they win at St Mary's. I think that's how it's tend to have gone. But are you confident for the game?
I don't think confidence. I don't know. It depends on how you take confidence. I'm not confident of the victory, but I'm confident that we've got it in us to win. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, the injuries don't help. Like, and the suspension, obviously. Richarlison was going to be a big enough miss by himself. I think if it had just been Richarlison attacking wise, we may have got round that. Even with the defensive, injuries, Godfrey is probably going to come in at right back, or possibly John Joe Kenny. But we've obviously had the news late in the week news that James Rodriguez may be not available for this game, and that is a massive blow because most of our attack and play this season, it's just sort of come through him, hasn't it? I mean, it's not. He is the least replaceable player in our current starting 11. I think we could even the better players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, they're very hard to replace, but they're not irreplaceable. There is potential, options you could do to sort of, soften that blow. But with Rodriguez, there's just there's no good fit to do the job that he does. So it's a big test for the team. It's just about how we adapt, how the manager adapts. We're not going to get to play our ideal 11 every game for the whole season. And this will be a real test for how far the team can go. If we come through this game with so many key players gone and we've got a positive result, be that, a draw or a win, then, people, the neutrals may actually look at Everton and go, they've had some setbacks there, but they still got it, they still dug in and got a result. So it'll be a big acid test for where we can go for the rest of the season. I mean, what about you? I mean, you said then about St Mary's, we seem to lose there and win at Goodison, but we've been doing that with every ground for the past couple of years. It's only Carlo's come in that we've picked up some away form. So what do you think?
Well, for me, I think if you'd have asked me before the Liverpool game, before kind of this new sort of rut of injuries came and hit us, I probably would have said I was feeling confident for the game. I thought we'll have had a lot to sort of hit their high line, but with obviously Rodriguez being injured, obviously Richarlison getting suspended, Seamus Coleman sort of not being fit for the game, it kind of just temper your expectations for the game. Not to say that we can't go down there and win, because I fancy Everton against anyone at the moment with the sort of confidence we're in. But it is one I think if Everton were to avoid defeat in this one, I think it just carries the momentum on somewhat against a team that's been in really good form lately. I think the key for this game is sort of, I don't know how that kind of comes, but just make sure that we leave the game with some more momentum. I think that's the key. I think if we manage to get down there, go down there and win, I think that would be great. I think obviously it'd be really interesting to see how the midfield line up this weekend, because the last time we played Southampton, I think they gave us a bit of a midfield masterclass. I think Højbjerg, I think, could have been who's been next to him in midfield, then Armstrong or Romeo. Yeah. But the kind of the axis of that sort of overshadowed Andre Gomes and of Tom Davis or Gylfi Sigurdsson, whoever it was that day. I can't remember. They just sort of all roll into one type of performance. But obviously, I'm not really. I can't say I'm overly confident about the game, but I feel like it's a game that ultimately if Everton are going to do anything this season, they go there and win. But also, I think if we get a point and just try and keep the results sort of machine, as I like to call it, going, I think that'll also be positive. What are your thoughts on Southampton? Obviously, they've been. I'm not going to mention the 9-0 Southampton fans because I know every video you turn on and hear about your club, someone mentions the 9-0. Now you've miraculously turned around from it. But I'm going to say in general, since Ralph Hasenhutl's been there, what have you been your general thoughts about how they've gone about the business?
Well, he's a great manager. I really like him. I think he's. I hate being like this because I don't like when it's applied to Everton, but he'll be at one of the top elite clubs soon. Like the next big job that comes up, I think he'll be right in there for. When you said about the game at Goodison last year, he pressed us to death, didn't he? Like that seems to be his style. Like, you know, he's another one of them, isn't he? Where it's all about the work rate off and on the ball. And he's obviously got some, good. He's Danny Ings. Let's just get it out the way. We're already 1-0 down, frankly, because he's going to get his obligatory goal against us, isn't he? But we've conceded this season anyway, but just done well by scoring more, which is great. I think it's going to be another one of them. I think they will score goals. It's just about how we can respond. And obviously, without two of our first choice front three, it's going to be difficult. But it's not only the hard work and pressing team. They've got a lot of pace. I find on especially in like wide areas. Now they can't use Walcott. He's still technically our player. Do you remember Walcott?
Who?
I know. They've got Redmond, they've got Che Adams, they've got players like that. They've got sorry?
Musa Gineppo.
Yeah, I didn't want to say his names, I couldn't say it. But so I'm glad you did. Yeah, they've got a lot of pace, and I think that is where it will probably hurt us because we're likely going to carry on playing Keane and Mina. Keane especially has been superb this season, but he hasn't got faster, has he? And Mina certainly hasn't. So Godfrey is fast. So if he was to play centre-back alongside Keane and Kenny was to start, I don't think that is how it's going to happen, but just on the off chance, I think we'd be able to play a lot higher with that type of back four. But I think what we're going to do is play the three centre-backs, Mina, Keane and Godfrey, and probably sit in a little bit lower, especially with Godfrey at right back. He's not going to be flying up and down the wing. He's going to be doing more of a defensive job. If we had another striker, this could have been a game without James where we dropped back into a 4-4-2 with like the inverted back, but we haven't. We've only got the one striker. Unless we were to, I don't know, who would you be? Play Gordon off the striker, or
I don't know. I don't quite know how you would do it.
Not going to do it. Yeah, he's not. He's not going to do it. So he's probably going to play the same formation, but bring Iwobi in for one of the wide spots with it likely to be on the right now if James doesn't make it. And on the left, either Gordon or Bernard. Yeah, I'd like to see Gordon.
I was going to say that. I think I would like it to be Gordon, but with the sort of like squad sort of hierarchy this season, Bernard's been higher than Gordon. So that tells me Bernard's more likely to play than Gordon.
Yeah, he's been on a bench more, hasn't he? And what have you. But it just makes me think, you go back to after the lockdown, Gordon sort of jumped ahead of all of them, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's sort of, I'm not saying, he's done, he's amazing, you've got to get him back on the team, but it's mad how it's sort of, they've rolled him back a little bit, cooled him down. But in this game, if we might benefit from having him because he's going to be a little bit more direct than either of the other two wingers, a little bit quicker. Like, he's not a fast player, but he is faster than Bernard and Iwobi. They're both, the sort of football and wide player. They're not going to beat a man for pace. They're going to try and look to create things, but there's no runners. I don't know, who they're going to be creating for. Calvert-Lewin, is a box striker, isn't he? So I don't know. I think a lot of the emphasis will be on the midfield. I think this could be a game where Decore is massive for us. He can get beyond, if he can go beyond Calvert-Lewin and assist him, since he's not going to have, Richarlison up alongside him, and could even be, I never thought I'd say this, but, it could be a game to start Sigurdsson. I think set pieces are going to be huge, especially when we haven't got James putting them in.
You know what kind of line I'm going to toe for this game, and that is Andre out, go for in. I think in that, I think you've got Allen as the sitter. I think you've got Decore as the box to box sort of your legs, and I think with Richarlison and Hammers being out now, I know Gylfi isn't exactly. He didn't score 20 goals last season, but if I said to you Sunday Gomez or Sigurdsson, who do you think is more likely to pop up with the winner? You would probably say Sigurdsson, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's doubly important because of set pieces. We score a lot of set pieces, and we haven't got Hammers putting them in. So who's our next best set piece taker? It's going to be the Dean or Sigurdsson, isn't it?
Yeah. I think we will. I'm not saying we will for sure see Sigurdsson for Gomez, because I think he is kind of warmed to Gomez playing that sort of third midfield role this season. But it also wouldn't surprise me to see Gylfi in there. I think in a three with two mobile midfielders, I think you could get a lot more out of Gylfi than what we saw last season. Equally, he could just ghost around again. It's a flip of a coin with him. But after seeing Gomez in, I would say, 50% of the games this season, not really affect the game that much. I would like to see Sigurdsson maybe get a game. If we had James and Richie playing, I would also be kind of tempted to play Delphin, sort of dog the midfield out and then just get the ball to our attacking players. I just don't think Bernard and Iwobi or even Gordon are effective enough to try and do that. I think we kind of need another midfielder who's likely to get on the score sheet, and that's why I think Sigurdsson will play. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin will play. I think Bernard and Iwobi will both play, and I think the rest of the team kind of picks itself. One thing I did want to talk about was the goalkeeping situation. Now, I know Pickford's been obviously starting every game, I think, since 2017, since he's come in, but it feels like, and I don't know, that the tide's turning against him, and I think if any week in these 3 years he's been at the club that he's going to be swapped out, it feels like this is the most likely another goalkeeper would come in and replace him.
See, I think the opposite. I on a strict football basis, I don't know anything about Olsen, but I think Pickford should be dropped because his performance just wasn't good in the derby. Like, he made that couple of, he made a decent save from an Alexander-Arnold free kick, made a world-class save from the Matip header, but he also should have got sent off on the 5th minute, and he also should have cost us a injury time winner again. So,
yeah,
and it's not like in isolation. I'm not treating him harshly on that game. He's been doing it for weeks and months, but it doesn't. Things don't happen in a vacuum. Like, this week, I think it may be. It's going to say a lot about Ancelotti. He's either going to play him and just back him to come through this period. Probably the hardest period of his career. Let's be honest. This is his lowest low, isn't it? That he's been all over the national press. Everyone's absolutely slating him. He's getting all kinds sent to him. And he'll either bring him out. Ancelotti will either bring him out because he doesn't think, protect him a little bit, doesn't think he's in the right state of mind to play, or he'll back him and say, right, let's put this behind us. It's just, don't know. You could flip a coin. I don't know what he's going to do. But if this was all very sterile and nothing had gone on off the pitch, I'd be looking for him to get dropped soon anyway, because I don't think he's performing well enough. But may not be as simple as that now. What about you?
No. If I was going to nail my colours to the mast, I'd say he would start the game. But I don't know. I think Carlo has done things in the past that have kind of stumped me before, like throwing Alan, James and Decore in the first week. I thought there was zero chance of that happening, and he just did it. So equally, it wouldn't surprise me to see Olsen play. I think it depends how much the club rate Olsen, whether he's just a glorified Stecklenberg or he's actually there to sort of get the levels up. I think time will tell. But I don't know. But I'd like to see Olsen play, but obviously, honestly, it's unsure. Like you said before about this being his lowest step. The last derby made a huge blunder in was the Origi one, but the difference with that one was I think we sort of had a consistent period where we weren't really calling him out and he was performing relatively well. That we just saw that as sort of a blip rather than sort of being what
Yeah.
the norm with him. So whilst that probably, well, it did cost us more, I feel like this one is sort of a succession of errors, and I don't know if after everything he sort of went through so far, this is the week Carlo could change it, and it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? The selection. He's got 3 changes he's got to make, absolutely got to make, and then I don't think he'll probably do any more than that, because then you're getting into changing after team territory. So we're likely to see Godfrey come in at right back. Iwobi's been the first sub most weeks, hasn't he? So he'll definitely come in. I mean, that left-hand side is one of the few positions in the squad who are quite well stacked, not in terms of direct quality, but in like relative quality. You know, like there's no massive drop-off. Well, not in the same way there is on the other side. And then the third player, who's the second sub, it's usually Sigurdsson. Do you think we could see Sigurdsson and Iwobi? Maybe see Sigurdsson on the left.
Oh God, that
Just let
no.
Team go him every time. I don't want him to do it, but we might do.
We might do, considering what we've seen in terms of the pattern of the subs. But equally, I'd be pouring bleach in my eyes if I saw Sigurdsson and Gomez in the same team. And no, I think we might run a competition for the world's slowest team if that happened. But hey, we'll.
Well, that does concern me, because we are going to look a little bit one-paced, aren't we? We're going to be relying a lot on Dean and Calvert-Lewin for our pace. And I know that's, we've only lost one fast player in Richarlison, but if he's one of your 2 or 3 fast players, it's like 50% of your pace is gone.
Yeah. On that pace issue, though, I saw a guy on Twitter today he's quite a football maverick, so take over a pinch of salt, that we should play Nkunku and Dean and sort of just, I don't know, play one left midfield and one sort of left back. I don't know how would you feel about that?
Seen that a lot, but you can't have. You look at the squad, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 potential options on the left, and you get a sending off, and then you put your left back there. It's like, Iwobi, Bernard, and Gordon would all just sit there and go, "Wow!" Like, Nkunku's a teenage left back who's done well against lower league opposition. Just because he's fast and to the back heel for an assist doesn't mean he can suddenly go into a Premier League in the front 3. Like, no. I understand the thought, but it's not realistic, is it?
No, I don't agree. I just saw it as an option that someone put out, but I think it'd probably be Bernard and Iwobi. I would like to see Iwobi and Gordon, but either way, I think we're just hoping we win. Out of their team, I know we've mentioned Danny Ings, but my second most hated footballer of all time after after Aaron Connolly, James Ward-Prowse will probably be playing. Now, I really do actually quite rate him, but I still hate him. And I think that's a dangerous place for me to be in, because I know I'll leave the room every time they get a set piece. That's one key message from this game. Do not give any set pieces away, because they're practically a penalty. They scored one against last year, didn't they? That's how they got their goal in the 2-1.
Yeah, and it wasn't. What was it where Gomez didn't actually foul someone, but it was blown up?
I don't know. I can't remember. But
at all, maybe. Anyway, so before we finish up, you got a prediction?
I'll be that's not really positive. I'll say 1-1. 1-1. Give me the points and take me out of the kind of thing. I think if someone had to give me a point now, I'd probably take it.
Yeah, well, you've nicked my answer, so I'm going to have to go with 2-1 now. I think I'll be tight as a duck's arse for the game, but I think we might edge it. We might edge it. Like, some good set pieces, and Michael Keane will get him in and heads off a corner maybe, and then another, the obligatory Dominic Calvert-Lewin finish.
Yeah, I think for us, I think Iwobi will score. I think he'll just get, I don't know, something on the edge of the box will break to him, and he'll just put in one of the corners. Now, if that happens, now you'll get 110 comments. Where are the lottery numbers?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, I think that's been it, hasn't it? Anything else you want to bring up?
No.
No, nothing other than that. I think tough game, very good opponent with very well coached very coached team with a great manager. Difficult, but I think it's a game that we both agree that if Everton are to do something quite extraordinary this season, I think Everton can go to Southampton and win. I think we just keep everything crossed that we win and hope that we avoid the obligatory Danny Ings goal. I'll put on Twitter before, like, the people who guaranteed to score Everton. Rigi was one, Ings was one, and the other two were Paul Shard and Stephen Hunt. So you can tell all the classics score against us. With that, thank you. This has been Terry and Owen on the Toffee Blues preview, and we'll see you later.